Hey guys, it's David from mdbootstrap.com, and in this tutorial I'm gonna show you how to create this page using Bootstrap 5 and PHP. So this is the second part of our tutorial, but don't worry, you don't need to watch the first one. But if you would like to, I strongly encourage you to do. So basically in the first tutorial, and link to this tutorial you're gonna find in the description down below, we have created this page, HTML page using Bootstrap 5 and CSS only. So this is the page. So what you can do, you can either go to the previous tutorial, follow it. It's like, I think 40 minutes to create this page. So you will learn how to do it. Or if you don't care about that part, you can just go to the this repository, and you're gonna find a link in the description down below. You can go to this repository, GitHub repository, you can download it, and then you will find this final HTML, which is the code, which is the source code of this page, and this is gonna be our entry point, our starting point for this tutorial. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna change this page from static HTML page to the PHP page. And what we're gonna do, we're gonna split this single landing page into a couple of the sub pages, which are gonna be generated automatically using PHP. And we're also gonna add navbar, or actually update navbar with links, so we can dynamically change between different pages. Now, for the prerequisites, in order to use PHP, you need to have a server installed on your computer, and I will be using XAMP. So if you want to follow that, just navigate to XAMP web page, download it and install, depending on which operating system you use. Just download it, install it. Now, if you don't have XAMP installed, don't worry, just pause this video right now, go to the tutorial on how to install PHP on your computer, which you will again find in the link to this tutorial in the description down below. And then once you have it installed, just come back here and continue watching the video. And the reason behind it is because, you know, you might be using different server, not necessarily XAMP, or you know, this installation might just look different in the future. So I just decided to have it separately, and you will find link to the tutorial how to install XAMP in the description. So if you have XAMP or other PHP server ready and install, we are ready to start. So without further ado, let's get started. Now, I already downloaded this repository here, so you can see it here, and I have this final HTML folder here. If I open it, I can see my page over there. Now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna start XAMP first, so let me run it. So this is how it looks on Windows, and this is the control panel. I'm gonna start Apache, which is the PHP server, and if you're using XAMP, then you should locate your htdocs folder, because this is like a root folder for PHP. And what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna paste this HTML. Whoops, no, I didn't want to do that. So I'm gonna create folder called BS for Bootstrap and PHP for PHP, and I'm gonna paste content over here. Now I'm gonna open this page here using localhost bs php / and here it is. This is what's happening. So our server is basically rendering our HTML file. So you can already see that server is automatically using either HTML or different. It's looking for some file which can open. Obviously, we can pass entire extension, and it will also do the same. Now let's see what's gonna happen if we're gonna try to open or change this to PHP. So I'm changing extension to PHP. I will refresh this page now. Now obviously we cannot find this index.html no more, because it doesn't exist. But if we get rid of this extension, server again will be able to open our file. Okay, now let me open this in Visual Studio Code. Obviously you can use any any editor you prefer, you'd like to use. I'm gonna be using Visual Studio Code. Let me enhance font for you. Okay, so what we're gonna do? We're gonna split our page into a couple of smaller files, and we're gonna split it like that. So from index.php, we're gonna move this header into the separate file. Then we're gonna move all these different sections you can see here. So navbar, this section, that company section, this section, and all this section into the separate file. So basically we're gonna have them like this. So this is header, section 1, 2, 3, and so on and so on. And then I'm gonna show you how to, using PHP, you can just combine them all together to create a page. And the reason behind it is that now imagine that you have this HTML file and you want to do exactly the same using HTML. So what you have to do, you would probably have to copy this index.html file like 4 or 5 times, and you would have this navbar code 5 times exactly the same. And this is something which we obviously don't want to do, because if you want to change something in this link, you will have to do it 5 times, and this is not the way you should do it. So let's have a look at this. And by the way, if you don't understand it, don't worry, just follow the tutorial, and once you do it, I think you're gonna kind of feel it, what's going on. So let's start with this one. I'm gonna get this part, and I'm basically gonna cut it. So I'll just remove it. Now, if we check our page, obviously it will go wrong because we removed all the styles and so on and so on. So it doesn't work, but we're gonna fix it very soon. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna create a folder called components, and you can call it whatever you want. You can call it like pages or sub pages. I'm gonna call it component. Inside this component, I'm gonna create a new file. I'm gonna call it head.inc.php. And reason why I'm calling this this like that is because you don't have to do it. You could call it just like head PHP. Actually, you could even call it head txt, but this is wrong. You could what you could do, you could call it head PHP, and that will be perfectly fine. But if you add this part, it suggests to you that this file doesn't work standalone, right? So that this is just file which is part of the bigger project, another file. So it's used in other file, and it doesn't necessarily works standalone, because obviously if we try to run this one, this is not a page, it's not gonna work, right? So this is just suggesting you that you should this file is being included somewhere else. Okay, so let's paste it, let's save this one. And now what we have to do, what we want to do, is that we want to include this file here. How we can do it? There are 2 ways to do that. Now, if we're gonna run this kind of function, include, and provide path to our head in PHP, let's see what's gonna happen. I'm gonna refresh the page, and we have an error. Oh, because we didn't close our PHP. So this is PHP opening tag, this is PHP close tag, and obviously because we are using PHP extension, our server knows that it has to treat it as a PHP and has to compile it. So now, oh, I didn't save it, and now everything works like a charm. And if we check our source code, obviously we see that this part got included over here, and this is what we really wanted to do. Now, there is another function which is called require, and if you compare it, it basically works pretty much the same. So what's the difference? Now the difference is, I mean, as long as the file is there and everything works like a charm, there is no difference. But let's assume that we're gonna do a typo. So I'm gonna call it head2, and let's see what's gonna happen now. If I will use require, then my PHP will stop execution, so it's not going farther. If I'm using include, then I still see the warning that it cannot find the file, but still the remaining part of the page gets rendered. And this is the difference, right? So if this file is crucial for you, you would probably use require, right? So you definitely don't want to run your page without having this CSS and so on. And if you're including some crucial part of your page, then you should definitely use require. Otherwise, you can just use include. So let's assume that we will, let me fix this one here. Let's say that you would like to use this one, include this one, then obviously you could use include, because if that doesn't work, obviously it's not good, but it's not stopping your page from working, right? It's not gonna look pretty neat, but still your page will be working, and you don't want to stop execution. You don't want to stop execution here, and you don't want to show user an error. User will see some warning, but still she will be able to see the remaining part of the page. So you should use this require in these crucial parts of the page. Okay, now let's continue. So okay. Now let's move to the bottom, and now I'm gonna get this part. So I'm gonna get this remaining tags and the footer itself, because I assume that we want to have footer on each and every sub page. So I'm just gonna cut it and then again create new file over here, and I'm gonna call it footer.inc PHP, save it, and then again I'm just gonna copy paste this one and paste it, called footer, and let's get back here. Yeah, now our footer still works the same. So what we can do now, we can create a new file. So I'm gonna create a new file, and I'm gonna call it, let's say, services PHP, which will describe our services. Now I'm gonna show you why this backend languages like PHP are so awesome and so important in web development. Now let's have a look at this one. So we have this service PHP file over here, which is kind of empty. We just had this head and footer included. So now let's try to open this in a browser. Let me do it like this, services PHP, and we have our page here, right? Okay, it doesn't look fancy yet, but let's now let's continue, and let's get our navbar. Or actually, before we do it, we can already check this one, because look, now if I change something in the footer, like made with love, or let's say we're gonna say with smile, I'm gonna save just this single file, and my footer will change here at index, as well as here at services. So now I hope you can understand why this is so important to create this kind of components which are reusable, because otherwise we would have to change this in a couple of files. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna create a file for each section like this. So let me just do one. So this is our navigation. I'm just gonna cut it. I'm gonna create new component. Let's call it navbar PHP, paste it, and then I'm gonna include it here. Now I can use include, because if this doesn't work for some reason, I still want my browser to show this. Let me do this, add this also to the services, and let's check. Okay, now we have this one here, and we still have this one, that one here, so it's working like we expected. Okay, so now I'm gonna quickly create new component for each section, and then we'll continue with creation of our sub pages. We're gonna add 2, maybe 3 more. Let's see. Okay, so now I removed almost entire content from our index.php file. I move all of them to the sub file. So over here, I decide to have one file per each section, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that small. You could use like a bigger sections, but I wanted to do it that way. So now let's start with index, and let's see that we want to. For now it looks like this. Navbar is behind, footer is behind navbar, so that's why we cannot see it. But as soon as we'll add some content, it will just pop up. So let close. Oh, not this one. Let's go to index, and now let's say we want to add something which I called header, which is this section, right? So we have it here. And let's say that other than that, we would like to also add the list of companies using our product. And here it is. We might want to add some styles. And then again, let's say we want to add some margin bottom. Let's say 1 rem should be sufficient, or perhaps 2 rems will do. And now then again, I just can't stress more that since we have this head component here, if we want to add some new styles file or whatever, or JS file, we just need to add this in this single place. Or even if you want to add some like Google Analytics tracing code or Facebook pixel, you can just do it in the single place and it will get applied to all your pages. Okay, so our index is ready. So let's see how it looks like. It is like that. So let's create now few more pages. So let's say I want to create, we have services, so let's add also gallery. Oops. And let's add contact or about, and we will add contact form in our about page. So now look how easily we can create new page when we have everything in components. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna copy paste this one from index. I'm gonna go to services. I'm gonna just paste it. And now I want to change, for example, this part to services. And this one to, okay, I'm gonna get rid of this one for a second. Let's check services. So these are our services. And for example, here I want to add something called icons, and here we have this one. Probably we should add some margin as well. Icons, right? Yeah. Or if we don't want this one, we can quickly decide to change it to, for example, companies. And then we have our companies here. So as you can see, you can easily and very fast do it. Now let's take care of our gallery. So we won't have this gallery, and let's say that's sufficient. So let's check this one. Gallery. Okay, this is our gallery. Let's leave it as it is. And finally, let's take care about page. And we want to add here what we have, what's left. Features section wasn't there. Oh, and we want to add contact, obviously, right? So let's open this in the new tab. Oh, it's not called contact, I called it about. Right, obviously you can call it whatever you want. So this is our contact section. Okay, so now let's add some navigation over here so we could easily navigate between pages. So let's open this navbar. Okay, now let's get rid of this one and that one for a second. And here for the home we want to target index PHP. Here we want to have what do we have, services, I guess, right? Yes, services. And then we want to do services PHP. For this one we want to have gallery PHP. And let me duplicate this one. And this will be about. Now let's see what happens. We have this one here. If we go home, we go to index. If we click services, we go to services. If we go to gallery, then we have gallery. If we go to about, we have this contact session, and our page is more or less ready. And if we want to add anytime something to our section, like let's say companies, we just do it like that, and we have companies added here. If we prefer, we can do it above. It's just like, you know, it's very, 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 very flexible and easy to change the page like this. Thank you very much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss more videos like that. And I highly recommend you to check our channel videos, as you're gonna find there more videos in other technologies like Node.js, like Angular, React, Vue, and so on and so on. So thanks again, and see you in the next video.